back to my channel. My name is Stacey Flowers, and in this video I'm going to be giving you my #1 book recommendation for learning how to eat healthy and eat the right foods for your body. So if you are interested in that, please keep watching. So this is a highly requested video. So many people ask me how to eat healthy, why I eat the foods that I eat, do I get enough calories, how do I keep my skin clear? There's just so many questions around health and wellness, and every time I get that question in the comments, I always say that I did an elimination diet and I read a book and so on and so forth. And so now I want to talk about the book that sort of shifted my health and wellness overall for the better. And that book is the Ultramind Solution. I'm going to bring it just a little closer so you guys can see it. That book is called the Ultramind Solution by Dr. Mark. We got to bring that color back. Hold on. We got to bring the color back. Come on, color. Come on. A minute to come back in. We got to get the, okay, there we go. If you've been following me for a while and you have asked me a question about anything related to food, I always give the same responses. Start with your top 6 foods that you love, learn how to remix them, and do an elimination diet to figure out what your body is sensitive to. And the reason why I recommend those things is because that was one of the techniques that I learned inside of this book. So the book is called the Ultramind Solution, and the general premise of the book is that you can literally heal any disease in your body through healing your second brain. And your second brain is your gut. So in the book, it talks about how our body is made up of a bunch of different systems, and all of these systems work together. And typically people can think through that as it relates to the brain. Like the brain tells the respiratory system to breathe in and out. The brain tells the skeletal system to like hold itself up and allow you to be able to bend over and move your elbows and whatnot. The brain tells the systems that run your organs to be able to keep the liver working, keep the kidney working, keep the heart pumping, right? So the brain tells all of these systems to keep functioning so that you can be alive. But what happens when we get sick, like say for example, like with me, like when you get depressed, that means that there's something inside of your brain that has been altered, right? And that something inside of your brain that has been altered then begins to affect you physically. And that's why depression doesn't just show up as something that's going on mentally. People who experience depression tend to also have other physical symptoms, and that's because the brain is no longer able to communicate with the rest of the systems in the way that it should to make sure that it's running at 100%. And so the theory inside of this book is that the system that actually makes the brain run in top condition and mint condition is the second brain, which he says is the gut. So your gut is literally the thing that keeps your brain running properly, so your brain can send all the right information to the rest of your systems, so that way your body is functioning properly. And anytime that we experience disease in our body, it is because our gut is not digesting the nutrients that we are putting in our body properly, thus not getting the right information to the brain, thus not enabling the brain to tell the body to keep functioning properly. So for me, when I went to get this book, I was in a very desperate situation. You guys know that I experienced nervous exhaustion. It was horrific for me. I was in a very, very dark place, and the place was so dark that I was at a point where I thought that I was gonna have to get on medication. And personally, I don't like being on medication because I'm already so sensitive anyway that when I'm on medication, I'm so numb that I'm not able to get the benefit of the talk therapy because I don't feel anything. Like I just don't feel anything when I'm on medication because I'm just that sensitive. So when I was in the super darkness of it, I didn't want to have to take medication, but I knew that if I wasn't going to do that, I was going to have to go above and beyond what people typically do when they're attempting to heal depression, anxiety, and some of the other symptoms that I was having in order to be able to deal with the severity of the condition that I was facing at the time. The way that this book helped me to be able to heal is it helped me to finally make the connection between what I was eating and the symptoms that were showing up in my life as disease. And when I finally learned how to cut foods that actually irritate my body out of my life, it changed everything. So in addition to me dealing with depression and anxiety, I was also dealing with horrific insomnia. Like I couldn't sleep at all. I was dealing with horrible constipation. And when I say horrible constipation, I mean weeks of constipation. Like I had to drink tea, several cups, just to be able to go. Like, and I mean, I don't know if you guys understand constipation, but that's just toxic stuff sitting inside of your body because your body will not release it, like, because that whole system is just not working to release the digested food. My skin was terrible. Like, oh man, my skin was so bad. My skin was so bad that I went to a dermatologist, I went to an allergist, and I went to my regular doctor to try to figure out what was going on, because it was just, I mean, it was horrible. And then also I was dealing with acid reflux, but I think the thing that really like set it over the limit was when my doctor started to want to have that conversation with me about fibromyalgia. And I was just like, oh no, I will not be getting diagnosed with fibromyalgia at this age or ever in my life. That will not be happening to me. So with all of those sort of things going on, like I dove into this book and I came up with a wealth of knowledge that truly helped me to be able to change my life. Like, you guys comment on my skin all the time, and it is 100,000,000% because I figured out what foods work for my body. And I figured out what foods work for my body, one, because I made the connection between my gut and my brain and the dis-ease or lack thereof in my body, but two, because I went on an elimination diet. And that's something that he talks about in the book in great detail. An elimination diet is simply systematically eliminating foods from your diet and then reintroducing them at a later time to figure out whether or not you have a sensitivity or an allergy to them. And I think that that's important, because sometimes people think, oh, if I'm not allergic to it, it doesn't matter. But if you have a sensitivity to it, it does matter, because any food that you ingest that you have a sensitivity to means that your gut and your brain have to work harder to digest that food. And because your gut and your brain has to work harder to digest that food, over time it slows down. What happens is that when these systems aren't working clearly because of the food that you're ingesting, some sort of disease shows up in the body. And that's like the biggest thing that I would love for everybody to take away, even if you never pick up this book, is that what you eat shows up in your body in some way, shape, or form. It over time slows down systems. And that's why, like, you know, when you're younger, it's like, oh, I can eat whatever I want to eat. But yeah, that's because your body has only been trying to process it for 5 years. But if you're keeping up that same bad habit for 10, 20 years, after a while, your body is like, I don't have anything left. I'm trying to tell you that I can't digest this, and you just keep eating it. So I say this to say it's important to understand that sensitivity is just as important as allergy. And what I found in my body is that the things that I was sensitive to produced inflammation, and that inflammation is what contributed to my tenderness. It is what contributed to me retaining weight in certain areas. It's what contributed to the acid reflux. Obviously, if I eat something that I'm allergic to, I have an allergic reaction, hives, you know, something like that. But sensitivity was enough for me to be like, oh, if I'm sensitive to this, I'm going to stop buying it and consume it in little to no quantities at all. Some of the things that I have a sensitivity to are things like dairy. I know now through doing the elimination diet and reading this book that dairy just puffs me up. It just makes me puffy. Like, I get whiteheads all over my face. Like, you can, if I have a bowl of ice cream like today and I wake up tomorrow, like I'm just puffy. But that puffiness is also something called inflammation. I'm not supposed to be puffy, right? So that shows up as a little bit of a sensitivity in a way. Something else that you guys see that I don't buy is eggs. And that's because I have a sensitivity to poultry in general, right? So like, whether it's an egg or it's actual chicken. And it's funny because like growing up, I never really liked chicken, and people would be like, you don't have a black card. And I'm like, listen, what do you want me to do? I don't like chicken like that. But it's funny that I didn't accept that there was a little bit of a sensitivity to it until I did the elimination diet and I realized how my body responded to eggs. So when I would eat eggs, I would get super, super tired. So like if I had, even if I went to like McDonald's or something, you know how they have the McGriddles? I would always get the McGriddle with no egg. And I thought it was just because I wasn't sure if they were using real eggs. But the truth is I wouldn't get it with the eggs because I really didn't like eggs. It's funny now that I think about that. But the point is here, anytime I would eat eggs, I would just get tired, and I would be like, why am I so tired? Why am I so tired? So then I was like, oh, I won't do the yolk. I'll just do the whites, because I know that if I do like an egg white omelet, I tend to feel better than if I do just like scrambled eggs. And so I thought it was about eating the yolk. So then I cut out the yolk, and that definitely, it was easier for me to just digest. There wasn't as much fatigue, but there was still fatigue. And what I finally realized is that when I'm eating an egg white omelet, I'm usually eating a spinach and kale egg white omelet. So the reason why I don't feel fatigued after that is because it's not because of the egg whites, it's because of the spinach and kale. But I didn't know that, because in the elimination diet, you strategically take foods out and then strategically put them back in, because when you're mixing foods with other foods, you don't really know what your body is responding to. So when I finally realized that eggs in general, I have a sensitivity, it brings more fatigue, you know what I did? I cut it out. And in me cutting out poultry, best decision in all the land. Why? Because I'm less fatigued and I'm less irritable. I found that that was the other thing too, is that I was a little bit more irritable. And so I highly recommend doing an elimination diet, because you would be surprised the foods that you're sensitive to, and even if you didn't eliminate them from your life forever, but you just made a conscious choice about when you eat them. Like, for example, I love pizza, so I'm not going to give up pizza, but I'm also not going to eat a pizza the day before I need a photo shoot or have to go on stage or I'm recording a video. Why? Because of the cheese. Avocados, I have a sensitivity. Avocados wipe me out. I mean, I go right to sleep if I eat an avocado. And it's funny because I'll always be like, I don't know, avocados just make everything taste super fresh. And people would be like, yeah, that's the point of the avocado. That's what makes it amazing. And I'm like, I don't know if I need it to be that fresh tasting. But really what I wasn't able to articulate is that in my mouth, like the freshness, it wasn't just like the I can taste all these flavors freshness. It was actually my tongue actually responding to the avocado in a way where it made it taste more like, you know how some people with the cilantro allergy, it tastes like, cilantro tastes like dish soap. It's kind of like that. It's like it was so cleansing and clearing that it wasn't good to me. So like when avocado toast was the thing, I was like, probably not going to be having this avocado toast. Again, I wouldn't have found out all of these things had I not done an elimination diet. And what I found is once I got rid of the foods that were causing inflammation and causing other symptoms, my brain didn't have to work as hard to do the things that it was designed to do. And when it stopped needing to work as hard to like overcome what I was putting in my body, it just started working for me. My skin just started clearing up. The dark fog that sits on top of you when you're depressed, it slowly but surely started to lift. The anxiety, like, oh my gosh, like I was jumping out of my skin with anxiety. Like a part of the reason the insomnia was so bad is because the anxiety was so bad. And one of the things that was contributing to that was like sugar and high fructose corn syrup. So that's why when you guys see my pantry, I don't have regular white sugar. I don't have sugar cane. I'm not saying that I won't eat a cookie or I won't eat something that's sweet. But I'm saying what I'm making a conscious effort to do is not purchase foods that don't agree with me. Now that doesn't mean if you took me out that I wouldn't order a triple chocolate cake that clearly has sugar and eggs in it. No, I'm definitely going to have that for dessert, but that's going to be a conscious decision instead of me unconsciously reaching into my cupboard and consuming foods that don't agree with my body. Like I have just made a decision to not do that anymore. And what I found is I was able to go back to my natural weight without very much exercise. My skin cleared up naturally. Many of you have commented on how youthful I look. I would like to believe that a lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't eat foods that age me, because I'm not saying aging is an illness or a disease, but early aging is a symptom. I highly recommend this book just so you can get clear on what foods work for your body. And that's one of the things that he talks about, is that like everybody's body is different. And that's why I never recommend that people do my diet. I go out of my way to tell you guys how much I like the foods that I eat and how you need to figure out what foods your body likes, because he talks about in the book, everybody's body is different. So the way that my body processes kale is totally different than the way that my best friend's body processes kale. And the same thing with avocado. Like I'm pretty sure most people enjoy the taste of avocado in their mouth. I don't. And that little difference of just taste, that's how you know everybody's body is different. And so when you guys are watching these like gurus and fitness this and all, it's like be inspired by the things that other people do, but put in the work to figure out how to make that be real and authentic for you. The major concerns that you guys have with my diet is calories as well as protein, but it's just like, you know how like sometimes when bodybuilders do their like meal prep or whatever, they'll get like chicken breasts and they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna have 4 chicken breasts today and 6 chicken breasts tomorrow, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. They just eat a bunch of chicken. Well, I understand your concern for my level of protein, but if I have a sensitivity to poultry, it doesn't matter how much chicken I'm eating, I'm not going to get the protein that I need because my body is going to be spending too much time trying to fight off the other stuff inside of chicken that it doesn't like. Does that make sense? Which is the reason why for me, I'm thriving off of beans and rice because I don't have, or not rice, I'm thriving off of beans because my body is just able to suck the nutrients from beans without having to worry about fighting anything off. And I think for a lot of us, when we're like counting calories, or we're looking at protein, or we're looking at fiber, or we're looking at fats, it's like, I get that there are general categories, right? Poultry is certainly a protein, but if it is a protein that my body can't digest, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's insignificant. Like, it's just irrelevant. And I think that it's important when we're trying to be healthy for us to figure out what health food crazes are irrelevant to us. Like, you know, again, and I use kale as an example because kale just doesn't work for everybody, right? Avocados is supposed to be a really good, beautiful fat, but that fat doesn't work for me, right? And it's just like, there's so many people trying to be healthy, and the reason why you're failing isn't because you're not putting in enough effort, but it's because you're trying to be healthy eating foods that your body is telling you it does not digest well. And that is important for you to figure out. And I think that this is one of the best books to read because he gives you 2 different perspectives. He gives you the scientific perspective because science matters, but he also gives you a medical perspective because he's an actual whole entire real doctor. So instead of you just listening to advice from a person who had great results, like, you get a medical perspective, like someone who practiced medicine, and you also get just general science, biology, physiology, how does all that work together? And then obviously you have like his testimonials and things like that. But I think more so than anything, it's just like getting to hear the heart of a doctor being like, you know, I became a doctor because I wanted to heal people, and I realized that that wasn't the business that I was in. I was in the business of managing disease, and because I was in the business of managing disease, the way that my practice was set up before, I wasn't able to help people heal. And now through functional medicine, I'm able to help people heal. So I highly recommend this book. I think that this book should be your first step to trying to become healthy, because healthy is relative to you and your body and the foods that you and your body are able to digest. I highly, highly, highly encourage and recommend the Ultramind Solution for anyone who is interested in learning how to eat healthy and heal their body. So I do appreciate you all for watching, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.